Hello folks, I hope that you're having just a great day today. Today I'll take a look at W.E.B Debois The Comet, which is a science fiction short story written in 1920. It was actually published in this collection of Darkwater, Voices from Beyond the Veil. This was actually a collection of essays that he writes. W.E.B Debois, I talk about this more in my a video where I talk about black writers and in the pulp era, was one of the key leaders of one of the two sides. He believed in telling things truthfully, challenging white stereotypes of racism and that sort of thing through writing. And he does that through his essays, through autobiographical things, and that sort of thing. But there's also a science fiction short story in here too, The Comet, which I want to take a deep dive into. It's an apocalyptic short story. And basically what's going to happen, a quick little synopsis, you're going to open up with this guy who is a messenger for a president. They're in New York City, so he's probably president of a company. He's probably not the president of the U.S. He sends him to go down to the bank vault in order to get some lost message logs and so forth that have been lost. And so he's going to go down there, find it. While he's down there, the bank vault door will accidentally close behind him. On his way down, he heard some people talking about a comet that was about to come, and have the Earth would be in its comet's tail. After he gets out of the bank vault, after working on it for a few hours, he emerges to find everybody dead. And so he's now going to be living in a New York City. Here he is, this African American gentleman who's living in New York City in poverty in Harlem after the comet has hit, and he's going to journey around the city, see what I can do. He's going to meet this woman who's a white woman, and obviously they will, because of their different, she's actually a rich white woman, because of their different societies, their different classes, their different races, they won't have much in common at first, but they have more in common as people who are going through this crisis together than they'd ever thought that they would have otherwise had. And so then they're going to meet up and work together. That's basically the story for you. I'll go ahead and end it for you there in terms of my synopsis. It is a very strong post-apocalyptic work. It's about 12 pages in my collection. I read it in one sitting at lunchtime. It took me about a half an hour to read. It was great. It was a lot of fun. It had a lot of great things to say. It's clear that there's a point to be made with it. The point is told in the story, and you definitely are getting it as a part of the story. It does remind me a bit of Earth Abides in the reverse genders. Earth Abides is a post-apocalyptic story that I've written for you before, where a disease hits our main character. It's published in the 50s. It's written by a white guy. Our main character is named Ish, and he is a scientist sort of guy, and he's a white guy. And then after the death of everything, he comes across this black woman, and the two of them become basically husband and wife, and will live as husband and wife, have children in the post-apocalyptic world, and so forth. So rather than a black man and a white woman, you have a white man and a black woman. You still have a biracial couple that will begin the next group of people. And so I like that. I think there's, it's definitely something that would have probably have happened, and so it's interesting to kind of see it from Earth Abides. Here, it actually has a fun thing to say, and it's a very poignant story. And it's definitely telling a story about the wrongness of racism, classism, that sort of thing, but doing it from the vantage point of the freedom that science fiction offers. It's like a Twilight Zone episode, because you're able to tell things you would not be able to tell in outside of the genre of science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Right? People will come in kind of not, and they'll sometimes miss it. The monsters are due on Maple Street or something like that from the Twilight Zone is not something you would ever be able to do. Have those social commentaries outside of the realm of science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this, because it's science fiction, lets Debois tell the story that he wants to tell. Now, apology to the gentleman. I've looked up his name. I'm pronouncing it like it's French. It could be Debois or something like that, or it could be English and just Debes or something like that. I'm pronouncing it Debois because I'm just assuming that it's pronounced like it's French, like the French way it looks. But I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the gentleman's name. But he does a good job at bringing this story, starting it, having a strong middle, and having a strong conclusion. So he does a lot with it. So there you are. I'll leave you to it. That's The Comet. I'll try to find it for you in the online, because it was published in 1920, so I'm not sure if it will be free online or not. But it's a great early science fiction story. It's definitely a strong science fiction story, where science fiction is at its best when it's being used to tell a story about something. Right? And this is definitely doing that. So I really enjoyed it. Have you ever read The Comet or anything else by Debois? Let me know about what you thought about in the comments below. Did you like this video? Please feel free to hit that subscribe button if you did. And thanks for your time. You took some time out of your day to watch my video, and I just appreciate it. You know, we all have so many things that we're doing, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's so humbling, and I really do appreciate that. So thanks again, and have a good one.